European Youth Parliament for Water, the floor is yours.
Stronger than ice. Our project, Stronger Than Ice, comes from these observations. Glaciers are melting due to climate change, and that is not without consequences. In fact, the Alert Glacier, the more important glacier in the Switzerland country, are losing more than 43 meters of water equivalent in less than 4 decades. And that results in many floods in the Rhône rivers, the most important river in France. And lately, in June 2024, a flood event causes the shutdown of many services in the Canton Valley and threatens the life of thousands of people. In front of those effects of glacier meltings, action needs to be taken. Therefore, our project, Stronger Than Ice, aims at mitigating the negative effects of glacier losses and help in strengthening the resilience of people living in those areas prone to floods. How are we going to do that? I pass the floor to Agnès on the next slide.
Yeah, so our project aims to mobilize youth and civil society from Rhone River basins countries to adapt a natural-based solution, reforestation action, and also to strengthen the riverbank, and educational workshops will be done along the riverbank regions. So our objectives is mitigate high stream flow and floods by reforestation, empower and educate youth, foster transboundary and national cooperation between countries, advocate for scientific research on glacier loss and the inclusion of young glacier professionals in the process, and finally create a policy that will help address real-life issues and aid communities to adapt to glacier loss. So our activities will be workshops, training sessions, and promotions. We're gonna do an awareness campaign to let the youth understand the impact of glacier loss on the water cycle. And also we're gonna reforestation on site. It's a natural-based solution. We're gonna increase the green spaces, and by increasing these green spaces, we are increasing the infiltration and we are reducing the floods. We'll do cross-border youth exchange and networking events to let the youth exchange their ideas, the solutions that can be adapted in these regions. And finally, we have a final reporting, policy crafting, and closing ceremony.
The implementation of those activities will yield expected results. Among them, we have reforestation along the selected river banks using nature-based solutions, lowering of the risk of floods in the selected areas, awareness of glacier change and its impact on water cycles, engagement of youth in the fieldwork, the strengthening of the capacity and the building of educational materials to share with schools, the younger ones, the engagement also of youth in the fieldwork and the increasing of their awareness, the deepening of the scientific research skills, and the inclusions of young professionals in glacier-related researches. Strengthening transboundary cooperations nationally and also locally by strengthening partnership between young people, local actors, and also organizations. Create policy that will set the baselines for the mitigation of the impact of glacier losses in those areas. What will be the cost of those projects? I share the floor.
Yes, so the budget will be covered educational material and training, equipment and supplies, final event organization, and also the transportation of volunteers. And since we are doing our project locally, so by this we are reducing the cost of transportation, and also we'll look for partners and sponsors that can cover part of our budget. And we will start for now our project in the Rhone River, but later on we're gonna also repeat it or implement it on other European rivers. Also we can use another natural-based solution, but for now we are going to deforestation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we can start with the questions, please.
Thank you very much for the project presentation, which is very interesting. I feel that you have well identified your goal, like it's quite clear, like you have your issue, you have your mission, and you have also identified some stakeholders from the discussion that we had at the discussion stage, like best practices identified. So you have, I think, a solid basis. Where I think it becomes less clear is where you want to focus exactly. Because I heard about education and awareness, I heard about developing research, I heard about developing policy, about the reforestation actions, and also the cooperation and networking among young people. So where to start? Like, where do you want to focus exactly? Because this could be different levels, this could be different steps. For me, it wasn't, I feel like I have everything in one basket and I don't know where you want to go exactly. So that would be useful for maybe next stage to refine a little bit more for a better understanding. Thank you.
Yes, as we start, the first slide was on a region that had the floods in June 2024. So maybe we can start by this region where we have this problem. Yeah, we're gonna also start with the Rhone River basins, as we said. So later on, we're gonna implement this project in other region where we have this kind of problem.
Just maybe to clarify a little bit, the where was not so about the location, but rather among the different list of activities. That is, a long list of, it looks like a shopping list to me. So where would you like to focus? Is it developing research and led by young people? Is it about, reforesting action, at the local level? Is it about awareness raising? Where do you want to start and focus? Because it was a bit long what you have listed, so thank you.
Thank you for your questions. I think the first step of our project will be to meet with the stakeholders in order to truly point out their needs and start by those needs and try to find solutions that will fit those needs and solve them. And also we intended to partner with research institutions in order to map areas that are prone to floods, in order truly to help people to not build their houses in those areas. So the entrance points will always be talking to people that are subject to those kind of events. Yeah.
Thank you. Move on, please.
Thank you for the presentation. Can you go to the next slide, please? The last one. Actually. Yeah. What's the percentage of in-kind contribution? Because your chart is already full 100%. Like in-kind is entering in it.
Could I elaborate? We were doing it. So the idea was to show that the budget, the funds that we would get, this is the amount of money that we used, and I cannot, I did not put in kind in finance. So this is just from the finance, from the budget that we would have, this is what we would do, but in kind, we did not put it in the budget in a sense, in like funds. Yeah, that's why, yes. But
you can involve it in the budget, and then we will see a percentage for it. So you have the right to put a percentage of it, even though you will not, at the end, you will not be paid, but you are adding value to the process.
Okay, thank you. We can move next.
Well, thank you for the presentation. I think it was really clear where you want to go. I had also the same feedback that you have a long list of activities which we understand why you want to do them, but at the first it's important to try to concentrate it maybe once so we understand the goal, and then maybe you can scale up a bit more, but at the beginning understanding what you want to do. So I hear that it's really like protecting the communities from the floods, and maybe some action, but then after you can say we have also awareness and everything, but it's important. I had one question regarding, and it's good we have the slide. On the 7th one, you have create a policy that reflects the community needs. Could you elaborate more on what you mean with create a policy, what kind of policy it is, and what are you expecting from that? And another question would be, at the end, you have an event, a final event. What is the timing of your project then? Thank you.
Yes, so our project is seasonal project. So we are going to plant trees during a season. And of course, this project, the goal or the project will have the impact in more years later on. So yes, also for the policy, we can do zoning and land use regulations between countries and borders to allow people where to construct or where they can live or not. We can also create wetlands and floodplains to have more green spaces. The first question.
Maybe I could add also, because we all did this together, but I didn't want to speak because I'm moderating, but doesn't matter. So the whole idea is with this, as you said, shopping list of things, it just shows how we need to fight on every side to mitigate the effects of glacier loss. So ideally, it is the reforestation because our idea is to lower floods. But then when you look at policies, we know that we need the political will to establish that. So again, policies would be crafted with community engagement, so with surveys, seeing what each community needs. So we believe that through the Rhone River Basin, they have different needs. So in our view, policies do help communities. So with their engagement, we would try to craft something that would help them. So from things like where to build their houses to maybe other things that really influences them. And the other question was, what was it?
The time scale of the project.
Over a couple of months. So yes. But also research institutes would give us more advice when it would be best feasible for the tree planting and everything else, but it's open to discussion, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you for the presentation. Well, I'm just going to repeat some of the things that we already shared before. Actually, I happen to be working right now on this project, on the impacts of the melting of the Rhone glacier from upstream to downstream until the Gulf of Lyon, so up to the sea. And in my opinion, in my perspective, you as some other colleagues have said already, you have to narrow down the objectives of the project. And I see three main things. One, it can be just raising awareness at schools, youth. Another one can be reforestation. And another one, which I mentioned to you, it's really focusing on cross-border cooperation with Switzerland, because actually it looks like the best solution to this problem to manage the increasing water flow coming from the melting of the glacier is really focusing on building new dams upstream so that you can manage to collect the water and to regulate the river flow upstream, not downstream. And even in the future, you can use the same dams to accumulate snowfall when the ice mass will be reduced. And one last thing, a suggestion for your presentation. You mentioned the Aletsch Glacier, which is the Swiss name. I guess it's in German. I suggest you to use the French or English name, which is Rhone Glacier and Rhone River Basin. So people make the connection. It's the Rhone, start from that glacier. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for the in-person presentations. Now we are going to the online ones. So first we have the Youth for Glaciers is Millie there.